I'd say that in simple terms, the mission that Ben and I have is to find a way for you guys to get a little bigger piece of the pie. So, I mean, I think that's a safe thing to say as far as our goal. If we can do anything in the world to help you guys get a little bigger piece of the pie, then we've met our goal for sure. I talk to so many of you one on one, and typically it's about trying to get a bigger piece of pie or a problem homes. And I like that one on one thing. But like Ben says, it's also nice to share things that have helped and as Ben said, hurt. But somehow or another, if we can form a group that can find ways to help each other get a bigger piece of pie, then we've accomplished everything that we set out to accomplish. And I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, Ben.
Well, I think this is a really unique industry, right? And it's an industry where there, it's not like there's 100 jobs and we're divvying them up between, the businesses that do it. There's an infinite number of jobs, and you have clients, that you have all these homeowners and business owners and schools and government built. You have every single enclosed space, in around, that doesn't know that this is something that they need. And so this is one of the only industries where we have to not only educate people about the need for it, but then also that increases the number of jobs that are out there. And so there is a camaraderie amongst people in this industry as we are working together to get the word out. It makes the pie bigger. So not only do you get your piece of the pie, or a larger slice. If we're thinking in pizza terms, an 8-inch pizza versus a 16-inch pizza, it makes a big difference on how many people are getting fed, right? And so right now we have such you know, a small industry that has the potential to be gigantic. And some of you, obviously, Bruno is seeing that. He's seeing, big growth in his area, I see Jim on here. Jim's over in Peoria, correct? That's where Jim's at. It's Peoria has got. Didn't you tell me a story of the lung specialist that came to Peoria because of how high the radon was? I mean, so the lung specialist knew about it, right? And so we just got to get that word out there, and so those are things when we're talking about successes and failures and things that we're doing in our business. If you guys are in this group and you go, hey, listen, we partnered with this, with this group, we partnered with, these people, and we saw a huge response. Um, and those, we partnered with this particular local action group, and they got the word out, and we were able to educate them and spread the word. Those are the things we're looking at here. So if you guys have things where you're seeing real growth from your action, let's help everybody out here. So
That was an interesting thing you touched on, Ben. That was me as far as
yeah,
meeting that lung cancer specialist, and we'll talk about that at a later date. But don't let me forget, that's a real interesting story.
yeah,
Uh, but you know, Ben touched on the fact that I think our industry is about to burst at the seams myself. I've been in this industry for 25 years, and this is the first year I've ever seen. I used to have a saying that the lights, I think we touched a little bit on this before, but the lights seemed to, the light string was pulled January 15th, and the lights didn't get put back on until March 15th every year. And that didn't happen this year. So I'm just forewarning people, do what you can to prepare ahead of time for growth, because it's very, very hard to deal with growth if you're not prepared. And I see, I get to talk to people all day long. And so, I have to say that we're talking about getting you a bigger piece of pie, but you have to want it. And if you want
yeah,
it, you've also got to be prepared. And we touched a lot on how the help is the biggest the biggest hurdle that everyone seems to have, Bruno in his presentation at the Midwest Conference, Ben, everybody in the world's got suggestions, but you have to want it. But if you do want it, I think right now is a good time to start getting prepared. Those of you that were at the Midwest Conference, or those of you that may not even have anything to do with the Midwest, our great team in the Midwest Conference that you got to give a lot of credit to for the time they put in, but they now have renters' rights. And a lot of the guys I spoke to, especially up in the Chicago area, are now seeing their business greatly affected by renters' rights. And renters' rights is very simply in Illinois, for instance, and a lot of other states, in a real estate transaction, there has to be paperwork provided telling the buyer that they said that the Center for Disease Control, the EPA, whatever, there's certain language that says we suggest that you take a radon test before you buy this home. And then typically the seller's faced with fixing the radon if it needs to be fixed. Well, now Illinois has adopted that for renters also. And so it could be a huge deal. A lot of mitigators in Illinois are very optimistic about what it's going to do to build their business. So it's just an industry, as I said, it's about to bust at the seams. And that's a good example of one of the things that could make some huge growth. Renters are going to have a whole bunch of rights, including the ability to break a lease if the landlord doesn't want to fix the radon if it's identified. So there's some rules that go with it, but very important to what we think is going to happen. So get prepared, guys. You have to want the growth. Some guys simply don't want the growth, but I think that, my opinion, one of the things that slows the guys down the most is being too conservative. Me and my two guys are making it okay. We're really working hard to keep up, but I'm just scared to hire that other guy. I'm just scared I can't make the payroll. I don't want it to cut into my take-home pay. I think that conservative is important, but too conservative can be damaging. So I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, Ben, but that's something that I see. As you guys know, I speak to you guys all day long. All of you got my cell phone number, and that's the way we build our business. But that's one of the big things I see is you guys being too conservative and working yourselves to death. And when you work yourselves to death, you've got no time left for marketing. So to take over there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and there's so many things, when you're going to take that next step. And Dave Ramsey's talked about how, entrepreneurs, their risk meter is often broken, right? They'll go out and they'll do stuff. There's always more money to make. There's always, hours in the day that you can be making something, doing something. And so, I do think that there's a level of, being in a group like this and being encouraged, seeing other people doing it, seeing other people successful, having access to people who have been there, done it. In my agency, on the marketing side, our agency, I've got coaches, I've got people, I've got things that I'm investing thousands of dollars a month in just to make me better. So I turn around and I give that, to the people that I'm working with. I want to mention over on the Facebook side, a couple of comments. One from Nick. He said, just a point of personal success. For the first time, we have been fully booked for about 6 consecutive weeks, which is awesome. He said they recently did a local news interview for the first time. And so he's definitely wide open to advice on bracing for growth. Lock in, man. Lock in.
Well, and I think that, Nick, if you don't mind me using you as an example, Nick, I think if you're booked 6 weeks out, you definitely have a problem.
No, he said he's been fully booked for 6 consecutive weeks.
Okay.
So
okay.
I don't think he said booked 6 weeks out,
yeah.
but man, that's a great problem to have, right?
Yeah. I know lots of mitigators that are booked 3 weeks out. 4 weeks
Yeah.
out right now, and you get yourself in a dangerous position there. All of you know that people, my father used to have a saying that when somebody's got their wallet out, you better be ready. And so
Yeah.
people get antsy. You know, that decision to do radon could be there today, but not there a week from now. So I urge you to use the tool of how far out am I booked?
Yeah.
How many times am I kind of ignoring a phone call too long because I am booked out so far? And so
Yeah.
uh, the amount of time that you have people waiting for a job can affect you in so many ways, but it also should give you a great indication that you need to change your strategy a little bit.
Well, I think also, I know in your mitigation business, your wife Sue was the scheduling queen, right? And so she, when you'd walk into her office, she had the size of the wall behind you, two calendars that she could just look up and see. She was like landing planes at O'Hare. She was just absolutely had them all lined up. She had everything ready to go. But as you're working with some repeat clients, whether it be builders or some places that are doing multiple jobs with you, that some of those guys are flexible, so you can squeeze in that concerned homeowner, and so to not lose that job, but then push off. But yeah, if you're going in and you're putting, if you're running, a new construction and you're doing a platform or corrugated pipe or whatever, if you're not core drilling later, as we've talked and gone back and forth on, yeah, you got to land that on the right day, right? So that makes a difference on, or when you're coming back through to activate the pipe or run it. So that matters. But so one of the things I would say is get really, really, really great at your scheduling and be able and radon is obviously an emotional one, especially when it's tied to cancer, right? It's an emotional uh thing that people are spending their money on. And so we have enough trouble just convincing people that they need to test and that, an elevated thing is a big deal. It's hard to get that extra piece of information that, like, hey, if we wait a week, you're not going to die, right? This is not going to it's not going to kill you in the next 10 days. Um, because I talked to a realtor a couple years ago. She's like, yeah, I'm just the radon, the radon's high in here. She's like, I'm getting real bad headaches. I'm like, okay, let's just stop at the radon is high. Let's get it taken care of. And so that kind of thing. But yeah, if you can get to a point where you are, you can schedule that stuff out, and we want to make sure that people know that you're getting to them. But yeah, if somebody wants to spend money with you, you got to be careful, because now they're emotionally attached to this thing. They know it's a problem in their house, and you tell them that you can't fix it for a month. You should either be really, really, really great at explaining why a month from now is not going to be a big deal, or you need to have another crew, and you need to be able to get there faster. And then that's obviously a big deal if you're jumping between different homes and you don't have a foreman who can take care of it, or you move people around as you can. So we had another comment over on the Facebook side. Mary B, she just joined our group here today. She is they want to, and she made this comment on there. And so I wanted to just to make sure that we put that on there, that she was in the Facebook group. She said, we want to expand our very new business to Florida. I saw on a Facebook page there are only two monitors that Florida accepts reports from. Is that true? If it is true, how do I find out what those are? And so I was unaware of what that is. Do you know, Dave, if that's true on the Florida?
Well, I do not, and I'm the first to admit I don't even have a testing license, so I
Yeah,
purposely keep my knowledge of testing fairly low. That's what Illinois asked us to do, and
yeah,
there's a long story to that too, but I've always honored that. But that's a good question, and it's an
yeah,
easy there's an easy answer to it. It's probably with calling Arst or contacting Arst, And by the way, Arst is changing their name. Jim, you might add to this. I can't remember what they told us was going to be, but I'm kind of happy about it. I never liked what Arst stood for. In other words, if you know what the letters stand for, it's Radon Scientist and Technologist. I mean, come on, you can do better than that. And they've decided to do better than that. So whatever that new name is, I support it. But anyway, that organization should be able to answer that question. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I've
I
got
figured we'd ask the group to see if anybody knew it, and I will I'll dig in and um
Bruno just
I'll
commented about that, I believe. I think I
coming in.
Bruno just commented. I think I see.
Oh, yeah,
Hold
he's
on.
got the link to it. Let's see. I'll take a look at this while we move on. And Nick did respond. He said we're a two-man operation. Is there any sort of existing rule of thumb for knowing when to look at hiring additional help? So, I mean, I'd probably start with you. You said you've been full for 6 weeks. What was it like prior to that? Right. So what was the 16 or 20 weeks prior to that? Were you staying pretty full? Um, are you turning anyone away, or are you losing anybody because of the, you
Lack,
know,
lack of personal service. Are you working
yep.
so hard that you are skipping the other important thing, which is owning a business and running a business? So, so many of us are so guilty of working so hard that we don't actually run the business. And as I said, I talk to guys all day long, and I get the feeling of them. And I will say an awful big percentage of guys, in my opinion, from being in it 25 years, um, don't have enough time to run their business. And if you don't have enough time to run your business, then you are losing sales. And so it's a real challenge. Um, it's always a scary thing to hire another employee and then feel obligated to make sure they get a paycheck every week. You have to make your own decision, but I would make a lot of that decision based on, could I get more business if I had more time to dedicate to being the owner of this business instead of the worker in this business? That's sort of the way I would challenge that decision.
I'd probably dig a little bit deeper into, what you've got in the office, right? So do you have somebody answering your phone? Do you have, are you answering your own phone? What's the amount of time that goes from the call to the, are you doing any type of lead generation right now? Is that something that, if you're paying $1,000 a month for lead generation, or $2,000 a month for lead generation, is it exponential? If you paid 4,000, would you double the number of leads that you got? Would you get more than that because it would drown out some other people? Um, the other thing for smaller businesses, I would suggest is there are now lots of ways that you can hire a virtual assistant. So this would be someone in a different area than you. You could even hire someone overseas that can answer, your phone. These are people that can literally do it for $3 to $4 an hour. And because they're not working for you full time. So it's kind of a sliding scale. So you don't necessarily have to have someone in your office that is, dedicated to answering phones and doing payroll and doing all that kind of stuff. You can have someone that's external, and that person, just like, David and I are, 3 miles apart, but we're able to communicate in this way, um, just like normal. So in a day and age of Zoom and, being able to quickly text and having cloud-based software where you can get on and, that's something, we have for our clients. We have software for lead generation, so our clients can go in and see the leads and track them and run them through a thing. But any of their employees can also jump into and see, where they are in the process, if people need to be followed up or scheduled and that kind of stuff too. So incorporating software and inexpensive ways to help while maybe increasing your ad buy or your lead generation, that'll help as well.
I'd like to talk just a little bit also about the Midwest Conference. And there were a few things that you get kind of numb when you go to 25 of them, but there were a few things that really caught me this year. And number one, I'd like to make a comment about how the Midwest Arts, a great amount of the people in Midwest Arts, including Jim, that's on, dedicated a lot of their time to building the radon industry, and they are instrumental in getting this Renters' Rights Act. These ladies and guys are going down to Springfield. They've Midwest Arts has a person down there, a lobbyist. They're making contacts with all of the representatives and senators. They're doing a lot of things to build the name radon up. And I just, all of us sitting here realize the value of time. Time is really precious. It's something that we can't increase, we can't build on it, and we can't seem to ever find enough. But these folks, people like Jim and Gloria, and I'm not going to name too many names because I'll miss somebody, but there's a good amount of people that are part of the Midwest Arts organization that are dedicating so much that I'm sitting there in my seat going, holy cow, I can't imagine coming up with that much time. But they're equally as busy as the rest of us. So they've just, it has to be with dedication. But I got to tell you, one of the things I took away, and I'll bet you Bruno agrees with me on this because he sat through there other than doing his presentation. And I just know he's got to be saying, wow, if all of the state organizations were as organized as the Midwest organization, it'd be a different industry. They are that good at what they're doing. So congratulations for all of the dedication that these folks are putting in. But I also wanted to congratulate Pat Daniels. He just retired from being the director of the Radon program. And Pat and I went to the very first class together in late 1998. And we've been friends that entire time. I thought he was kind of a nerdy guy that I didn't know his name during that class, but I got to know him. So he was highly qualified. He was a health physicist with nuclear submarine background, so highly qualified for the job. But the big thing about Pat Daniels is he was always promoting the radon industry, and his philosophy was consumers first, mitigators second, because his comment was, if mitigators can't be successful, we're all out of the job. So I very much respected his way of running the radon industry, and the numbers are there. The numbers are there. So Melinda worked with Pat all these years, and she's, as far as I know, taken over for him. And I'm sure she'll do a great job too. I'm very confident that Melinda will do a great job too. But I wanted to say thanks to Pat for everything he did in Illinois to promote the word radon. So the other thing that caught my attention was Bruno. Bruno was the main speaker for at least I call him the main speaker. Most of those kind of conferences are facts and figures, and here's what's happening. Bruno gave a very touching presentation about different ways that he's built his business. And I think Bruno and I go back to about his first days. And I'm not even I think Bruno's only been in this business 7 or 8 years. I can't tell you for sure, maybe a little bit more than that, but what he's accomplished in that amount of time is incredible. And I encourage anyone that's that's listening to this or will listen to this, see if there's some way that you can pull that Midwest Conference back up and watch Bruno's presentation, because the things you can learn for that from that are just incredible. And you know, the numbers are there. Not to put Bruno on the spot, but here he is in that short amount of time, and he's the largest mitigator in the country. And I can tell you the amount of service vans that he has in the picture he showed in the presentation. There's no way I could count them on my hands. So congratulations to Bruno, both in his success, but also his presentation was just kind of numbing. And I encourage all of you to find some way to pull it back up. I will say this also. Bruno spent a good amount of time talking about the importance of the type of things Ben does. So in other words, if you're not don't have the right people on the side of the things Ben does, then you're fighting yourself all the way. You've got to have people doing that part of your business in this day and age. They also spoke highly of the importance of reviews and different ways to get reviews, and the things that you have to sacrifice to make sure that all those reviews are 5-star. So like I say, I just encourage anyone that hasn't seen that presentation to look at it, because I was real impressed with some of the things that that he's done to build that business. And as I said, the evidence is there.
We'll just have Bruno jump on here and just give his whole presentation real quick.
That take a little time. So Ben, you want to talk a little bit more about some of the things that, you know, some of the things you preach to me is exactly what Bruno was saying, you know, the things that you have to do from your perspective to help people.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the first thing I'm doing when someone hires us is doing just an audit of two things. I'm looking for the, you know, amount of traffic that is in your, oh, Jim said the recorded version will be out soon. Awesome. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
The you know, the first thing I'm doing is looking to see how much, you know, business can we even get from online marketing, right? And in your area. So we have I've got a guy who is in the middle of Wyoming, and you know, the amount of, you know, Google traffic and Facebook traffic, you know, that goes to him and compared to our clients that are in the Chicagoland area, or, you know, in St. Louis or in Cleveland, Ohio, is it's vastly different, right? And so then, and he also doesn't have the competition, right? So we're focusing on, with him, creating a website that, you know, when people find him, that they're able to learn about Radon and get that lead in really quickly. But for most of our clients that we're trying to just, we have the sole goal is to get just to generate more leads, right? And so how are we doing that? You know, I want to see where you're ranking in Google. I want to see how much traffic there is. I want to see what people are searching for in your, you know, in some areas of the country, the word abatement is used more frequently than mitigation, right? And so I'm looking for those regional differences in what people may or may not be searching for. And then we're just putting in the reps, right? And we're just trying to rank the website higher. We're trying to get, you know, so when someone searches for it organically, and for a lot of our clients, it's a two-phased approach between creating um, organic traffic, whether it's through the map pack, which we've done, and I've shown you guys that, and then uh, organic search, but also we're running ads. So we're running those ads and generating business from a targeted ad campaign. And then sometimes we're combining the two. So somebody's been to your website, now they're getting retargeted for a little while. We're trying to capture information and get back to those people. And then that's getting the lead to you. But then if I'm watching your business and I'm watching the lead come in and you're not closing them, then we got to talk about why you're not closing them. We all see the leads come in and we all know whether they're a good lead or, fake lead or somebody that's, just has no idea what they're talking about. Those of us in the testing business, we get so many leads for mitigation. It's great to have a partner in your area where you can pass those leads forward if you're on the testing side. But yeah, if I'm looking at your leads coming in, I'm going, hey, you got 10 great leads this week. Tell me about them. Why, if I'm looking at your software, that your client software, and I'm going, hey, you didn't close any of these 10. We need to have a real talk about what is it, and in some cases that may mean we need to, call those 10 clients back and or send them a survey or do something to find out. Okay, so if they did go with mitigation, let's say 7 out of the 10 ended up getting their houses mitigated. Why did those 7 not choose? Like, who did they choose? Was it price? Was it speed of response? Was it they were off, they were put off by your tone, like, or you weren't willing to do an on-site quote where another company might have done an on-site quote and they felt more comfortable with that. They checked your reviews and your reviews were bad. They checked your reviews and your reviews that you didn't have any and the other company did. So like, we need to figure all that stuff out. But for the most part, most of the businesses that I'm working for, most of the business owners are like, hey, just give me leads. You give me leads, I'm going to close them. And so that's the vast majority of the people that I'm working with. And then we're looking at it going, okay, I'm sending you leads. You're closing 6 out of 10. Let's go ahead and get a little greedy. Let's find out what those other 4 people are doing and what it's going to take to get that. Like, how did you lose those? Because if I can get you 2 more out of the 10, that may be a 20% increase in your business, right? And so those are huge numbers. I already got you 6 times more than you were getting. So let's figure out how to just get every little bit, right? So those are the things we're doing on our end of things, just month after month after month.
But don't put yourself in a position where you say, Ben, slow down a little bit. I can't keep up.
Yeah. Well,
It is
yeah.
possible, really. And just one little comment on that too is, you hear it over and over again, and I think you'll hear it in the presentation if you get to look at it. Nothing worse than a stale website. It just when I look up things and I see stale, I almost think, well, that person must be out of business. I haven't really seen a comment for a year. They must have went out of business a year ago, and it may not be. Oftentimes, it's not at all true. But is it more harm to have a stale website than none at all? Maybe, but that's
Yeah, I'm definitely scrolling down to the bottom of somebody's website to see the last time it was updated. And so, if it says copyright 2014, um, as a consumer, I'm immediately thinking, here's a business that is not staying up on using the best equipment in my home. They're not using in mitigation, they're not using the best fan. They're not using they're going to come in and they're going to drill 6 holes instead of 1 because they don't know what to do. Like, I'm now, I don't understand that as a consumer, but I understand it as a consumer of, somebody who's going to do, painting in my house, and, they come in and I've got, my living room is 2 stories, right? If you come in and don't have a ladder, I'm going to wonder, how are you going to get to the top of that wall, right? Are you going to paint with a really long stick because that's what you've done for a really long time? or is there something, that you're doing that you've invested in the thing you can say what you want, but plumbers who are using ProPress are faster than plumbers who are still soldering. And I watch videos on TikTok, and the plumbers are showing how they're doing stuff, and all the old school guys are getting in there and they're crapping on the guys that are using ProPro. Oh, and that's gonna fail, and you should solder it and blah blah blah. And the guy's like, well, if you can't, the guy snaps back and says, well, if you can't afford the good equipment, that's on you, right? And so I want to do 4 jobs in a day where my competitors are doing 2, and I want to do a better job in those 4 than they're doing in the 2, because money loves speed. And whether it's getting back to people, whether it's how fast you can do the job because you've invested in it, it's how quickly you can get to do you have to make 2 trips with your truck because you can't afford a trailer, right? Or you didn't invest in a trailer, so you go out and you drop off your guys, and you drive back to your shop, and you pick up all the equipment and drive. Like, there are investments that you're making in your business for speed, and so
Well, and
that's
a
it.
couple of things I always say until all you guys get so sick of me saying this that you hang up the phone on me, but there's no shortcut for quality. You can lower your price to try to get jobs, but it only takes 2 or 3 jobs, but what you have to lower the quality too. So a lot of us are in competitive areas, but you get trapped into I got to get this job, so I'm going to lower my price to get it. It's a tough game to play because as soon as the real estate market drops, you're out of business. The real estate market didn't affect our company at all. But it was a total different way we built our company because we built it around non home sale rights. But I preach and preach and preach that you can't have good reviews if you don't do quality work, and you can't grow without doing quality work. And so you guys have heard me preach it enough, but don't get caught in a trap. I say it very simply. If you do 5 jobs a week and you make $250 profit on each job, or you do 10 and you only make 100, you've made a whole bunch more money doing 5 jobs. So just remember that it's not all about volume, but it's also not all about trying to compete against the guy that is doing a substandard job, because he's doing a substandard job because he does a substandard work with substandard materials. You can't do that and sustain. You can't feed your kids very long if you start matching his price, unless you match his quality.
Can I jump in there and make a couple comments?
Yes.
Absolutely.
How you doing, Ron?
I'm well, thank you.
How's Alaska, by the way?
I apologize. I've had so much going on that I missed part of this meeting, and I hope I'm not going to say something that I just missed out on or something. But so one thing that there's a couple things that they're kind of related here. Is when you were talking about it, you show up and you wonder, the painter shows up and you wonder how they're going to attack, the problem, because they don't have the equipment that you expect them to have. And I find over and over again in businesses, and this is, I'm sure I'm not saying anything new here, but it's just kind of fun to keep talking about it because it keeps it in the forefront of our mind that, when people don't have information, they fill in the blanks, and it's usually to the negative. They fill in those blanks to the negative, and it's really up to us as business owners to be thinking about what their customers may be thinking and head it off at the pass. Like, you show up and in that scenario you gave, Ben, the painter should be saying something like, I'll bet you're wondering how I'm going to get to that high thing without a ladder, and just bring it out on the table and address it. And man, their esteem for you will go way up. Like, yeah, he sees the obvious and he communicated with me. I tend to over communicate, which is probably problematic, but but I've known through the years that people want information, and they definitely will fill into the negative, and you just got to build that that rapport with them by how you communicate when you do get out to a job. And then the other thing I wanted to comment on was David, what you were just talking about pricing yourself too low. I I mean, I'm the other way around. I don't want to be the low price leader, and I found that has given me better response. I can't tell you how many jobs I get when I'm not the low price leader, but I'm confident. I go in and I'm confident and I'm courteous and I communicate well, and people say, "Hey, this guy's I don't want to go with the other guy." And I've been told over and over again how they chose me over the other guy because it just felt better, and then a coupling philosophy with that is that if you were really looking for just the lowest price, I would rather my competitors get that job, because they'll be tied up with that when a good one comes along, and I'll be really happy I was free to accept it.
Good point. Good point. I think that one of the things that I believe we had success with is what little commercial work we did. We did some commercial work. The first thing I wanted to do was make friends with the however high you could get. It could have been the architect, engineer, or just a head of maintenance. But you got to make friends and involve someone right away that's going to explain what you're doing, explain the philosophy of how it should happen, explain everything about it to make them feel involved. But that transfers to consumers too. I'd love involving a consumer. Now, you can't involve them to the point that they slow your job down. We always had a saying that if the consumer's home, the job takes an extra hour. But you do. I talk a lot about the homeowner devices that are getting so high tech these days, and their price just keeps coming down, and the value and the accuracy keeps going up. But many times we would leave we like the Radon Eye. There's other ones too, but we would leave one behind, and we would say, "Hey, let me show you how this works." And we set it up when we started working here, and the numbers have already decreased in the 4 hours we were here. But I'd like to leave it here, and then tomorrow morning, is it okay if I call you and you go down there and tell me what the numbers are before you go to work, or anytime, any situation that the consumer's in? The point of it is involving them. And that gets them so excited, because let's just say you're leaving with a number of 8 pico curies, and they go down there the next morning and it's down to 1. They are so excited, but they're mostly excited because now they're part of it. They know a whole bunch about radon. And so many times I preach this over and over, but it was such a good sales tool because they are so excited about it. You say, okay, well, I'm going to stop back over and pick that device up. And they're going to say, how much? I'd like to keep it. And if you can talk any consumer into keeping a device, I don't care if you sell it for half price. Our saying was, I've repeated this over and over, our saying was, one homeowner test device will get you 5 jobs. And if that person keeps that device, even if you give it to them, but if that person keeps that device, their neighbor's going to come over and say, what the heck is that? And he's going to get real excited about explaining it, because now he's the expert, because the radon guy taught him how it works. And so he's going to look like the expert to his neighbor, and his neighbor's going to say, would you mind if I borrow that for a week? And then he's going to go to church and talk to somebody in the meeting room after church when they're having their pie. And that same person that he's talking to is going to say, that's really interesting. Could I come over and borrow that? Or oftentimes it's like, I want to buy that from you because I think I'd better test my daughter's house, my son's house, my brother's house, because you can get a lot of relation by one person, but you're still not going to get it. I don't care what you do. You're still not going to get it if you don't make the consumer happy with the quality of work also. So it's got to be a combination, but I believe that our business grew one of the secrets to our business growing was doing whatever we could to involve the consumer. Just as one of the hints. And Ron,
Yeah, I mean,
you and I
the-
talked a little bit about that, but it's just something that very much worked for us. I'm a big fan in these consumer devices. We found them to be very accurate, and I think that the entire industry can learn a lot from these things like fluctuations. I want to talk a little bit in upcoming. One of the subjects I want to cover very quickly here in the next few sessions, whatever, is what each and every one of us would like to see ARST or EPA or a combination of the two do studies on. What could we is there really as much chance of re-entrapment as we've been told? I don't know that there is. Why can't we put fans in basements? Anybody got any idea? Hot water heaters are in basements, and up until recently, they had a flue pipe, and if that got knocked loose, it'd kill you. So what's the deal about not being able to put fans in basements? I know why the rule was originally made. It really is doesn't make sense. In the current fans have a lot better qualities. But a lot of things like this, I'd like to have an open discussion about what we would like to have explained or restudied or studied, period, by the industry to see if it's time to make some changes in this industry. We've been doing things the same way for a long time, and I've never had it proven to me that there's some harm to putting a fan in the basement. I understand what they're saying, but it's not as dangerous as, say, a hot water heater, or for that matter, a sump pump that's not plugged into a GFI circuit. My community had 2 people get killed in 1 year from walking down to their basement with a flooded basement, and the sump pump was not plugged into GFCI, and it electrocuted them. Well, is that more dangerous than a radon fan that could 1 in a million times get hit with a grocery cart and knocked loose? So in other words, I'd like to spend some time. I don't want to get off track here, but I'd like to spend a little bit of time with everybody thinking about what we would like to have some more information about. What could ARST and the EPA do to make our job easier, make it better for the consumer, make it better for us? I think it'll be an interesting topic, and I wanted to throw it out there so anyone else that's as interested in that topic as I am, think about it a little bit so we can have a good open discussion about it.
Makes
Ron,
me think of the
Yeah,
120 volt light that's plugged into my pool, right, from 25 years ago.
Yeah.
That thing terrifies me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna make a comment about what you were talking about, fans in basements, because we do it different up here in Alaska, but I will wait with that comment until, if you'd prefer, until we opened up for a formal discussion.
Well, yeah, I hope you're there, Ron, because you and I, when you first got started several months ago, we talked a whole bunch about that. And I know you work closely with the establishment in Alaska, the health department establishment. And so that's going to be a big part of the discussion, as well as the Canadian rules are totally different than us. So
Could I just tell you a real quick story that that I felt a little vindicated about?
sure.
So it's been I guess 2 winters now ago. One of our very first jobs that we went that we were called to was a home up in the mountains in Alaska, and it was 3 stories high. And the guy who had referred us the job was he was certified in measuring, and so he wanted to stick to NRPP rules, and I said, well, the Alaska Division of Natural Resources says we should do it differently in Alaska. And he goes, yeah, you could do that. They just won't get the certifications on what on the post test. And so I tried to talk the homeowners into letting me do it the Alaska way, and they said no, we're going to stick with the recommendation. So we ran the PVC pipe up 3 stories. Now I said, you're going to have problems here, and they go, no, we're going to put a heat trace in there. So they hired an electrician. They paid a lot of money. They run this heat trace through the pipe, and I didn't make too much, bones about it. I just said, well, I still think you're going to have problems. She called me the other day and said, she goes, Ron, we're freezing up. And in spite of the heat trace, we're freezing up, and we have to shut it off during the winter.
Well, I'm going to let Ben close this out, but that's an interesting thing. I've got an appointment, but I'll let Ben close this out. But, there was a comment, a question, doesn't Canada allow fans in basements like Alaska? It's not only does Canada allow fans in basements, you don't have to have discharge pipe. And so Canada, now I can just go by hearsay. I haven't seen the studies, but what I hear is Canada says, no, the dissipation rate for radon is much less than what we think it is. I keep hearing the number of 18 inches. Well, let's see. How about ARST and EPA make a partnership to do a true study on that? If the dissipation rate is 18 inches, I want to know it. I want to know why Canada says it's not that dangerous. And there's different opinions about it, but boy, Canada is sure convinced that they're making people's lives a lot healthier with a system that has a fan in the basement and literally no discharge pipe. And just one other quick comment, Ron, the new standard, the national standard does allow you to, I believe, only go 20 feet. And I think the new Illinois one's coming out is going to be 24, 28 feet, but you can stop on those 3-story homes and do a 45. And so that helps, because a 3-story home is just too dangerous on a ladder, and that would help a little bit. But in Alaska, I don't think so. And I'm not so sure, as you've already found out, the heat tape was exactly an answer either. But I would encourage everyone that uses a 45 to put a critter guard on it, because a 45 is just an open invitation to a bird. When it's 5 below zero and that air coming out of that pipe is what, 40, 50 degrees, 30 degrees, whatever. That's a pretty big invitation to any kind of environment, from what we call field mouse to a bird. We get squirrels in my part of the country. Digging out dead squirrels out of fans, not fun at all. But anyway, Ben, if you don't mind closing this out, I'm going to go ahead and make my appointment, but I'm real anxious to talk about what we would suggest, the positive things that the EPA and ARST could do to give us more information. I have, as Ron, you've seen, Ben, you've seen, a lot of you have seen, I've got a very large study that we did on the value of passive radon systems. And I have 2 different studies about new construction that the EPA funded. Gosh, I think it was $70,000, $80,000 in grants that were given out to the University of Illinois, American Lung Association, places like that, for studies that we did on new construction. So I can tell you a whole bunch of stuff about the value of a passive system in new construction that everybody in this meeting will be shocked to hear the numbers that I have. And this is a study of 102 homes. So it's not a geeky little study, but we can talk about that. But the point of the matter is, it's not that hard to do studies. And I know they could do a study about re-entrapment, number one, and what the heck is the harm of putting a fan in the basement. So anyway, this is
Kyle, did you have a question? I saw you were unmuted. I didn't know if you had a question for Dave before he bounces, or.
Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Get to look at that dog.
All right, everybody.
Well, cool. Yeah. Dave's going to drop out. I'm here for a second. If anybody had any questions, we could do, if somebody wanted to do a live heat map, I'd be happy to do one here while we got everybody on the call, or take a look at anybody's website or searches in your area. So I'll give a second if anybody wanted to see any of that stuff. If you haven't seen one of those, check out one of our earlier calls. But I do those all day, every day for people. So if you had a question about doing a heat map for your business, if you want to see how you're ranking in local searches for everybody that's searching for radon in your area, then I'm happy to do that for you. I'll check the chat here over on Facebook and make sure we got any questions over there. Yeah, Nick said he left a radon eye at a customer's house. I love the Corinium. It's got the monitor right on the, I mean, I guess the radon eye does too. The Corinium's got the 7-day, the 3-day, the 1-day average and long-term average. That's a great one if you're going to leave it there for more than a week. So Bruno was asking about the heat map. And so those of you who are still sticking around for this, I'll absolutely, we'll take a look at it. When you, I'm going to share my screen so you can take a look here. Let's see. Make sure I'm getting the right one. All right. So hopefully everybody can see this now. You can see the, I'm going to try to see if I spread it out like this, if it makes it bigger. I'm looking over at Facebook too. Okay, cool. So this is my tool. If I'm in Google, first of all, heat map tool is based on your Google business pages. So if you haven't been to google.com/business, if you don't have a business page for your business, you absolutely need to get that set up. That's something we help out with because you want to make sure that it's set up correctly and that it's being optimized for searches. So if I'm over here at google.com and I'm just going to go, let's see where, Bruno, where are you at? Can I see the chat when it's closed? One new message. Let me see.
I'll just unmute myself. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Perfect. So I'm going to do, I'm going to come back over here and do Salt Lake City radon mitigation. So couple things right now. I'm searching from Bloomington, Illinois. So I'm right in the middle of the country. Bloomington is directly between Chicago, St. Louis. And so it's going to give me searches based on where I am. It's going to be different if I were in Salt Lake City. And we're going to look at that in a second, but it will give us a little bit of information. So if I search this, I hit.
Don't you dare click on any of my ads.
I'll send you $100 because I know how much that costs you.
Oh
so
my goodness.
This is, well, and I want to rewind here for a second because we're talking about how, leaving some type of device with a customer or potential customer. If you guys don't know what you're spending, what it costs for you to get a lead, that is something that you really need to dial in, right? If you take all of your marketing, things, if you say, okay, if I spend $2,000 a month on Google ads, it gives me, say, 30 leads, right? Or 40 leads. And I can look at that and I go, okay, 40 leads at $2,000, that cost me $50 a lead. And so you have a really good, but some of you guys are spending, $2,000 a month on Google ads and you're getting 10 leads out of it. And you're closing all 10. But the question is, you're spending $200 per lead, right? How much is a Corinium now? You could, I could, when they're on sale on Amazon, sometimes they'll drop to like $79, $89. And so if I could take that Corinium and drop that in 8 different places, and I spent $800 on 8 of them, and I know that that's going to net me an average of 2 to 5 jobs per one that's out there. Well, isn't that a better use of that money, right? Some of you are spending $1,000 on Google ads and you're getting 100 leads out of it. So it turns out to be, $10 a lead. So that's better because that just comes to you. So The bigger your city, the higher competition, the more those leads are going to cost. So, Bruno, if you heard the shaking in his voice when this ad showed up on my he knows how much that cost him. So I'll just, if you like danger and like if you're kind of like if you like going to horror films, I'll just hover my mouse over there. Just really, it's making his heart beat at a different speed. So these are the sponsored ones. So when you're looking at a Google search in your area, and you guys probably are searching Google just to see what comes up, right? So we have three different levels here. The first is up here. These are the sponsored ads. These are going to come up before anything else. And then we're going to come down here. And the second thing is this is the map pack. When you hear me talk about a heat map, we are talking about this Google map, whether you are on your phone, whether you're in Google Maps. If I type pizza place, Salt Lake City, it's going to give me pizza places. If I type in plumber, Salt Lake City, it's going to give me places. If I type in, something really, really specific, I'm thinking about guys installing arborvitaes across the way from me. If I type in arborvitae rentals, right? Places that you can rent arborvitae trees. That's not something that people search for. So that's not going to come up on here as a place. So there has to be enough search for this map pack to generate. Otherwise, it's going to go down here. It's going to go to the next thing, which is what we call the organic search terms. A lot of times we'll see more like sponsored ads down here. But this is the organic search. So I typed in Salt Lake City radon mitigation, and you will see the number one organic search term or search result is the Utah Department of Environmental Quality. Below that, SWAT, which we're all familiar with. Then we have Protect Environmental, Salt Lake City radon mitigation, radon be gone, Wasatch, radon, Green Home Air, Protect Environmental. Do we have two protects? Yeah, we have two protects. Probably different, maybe not locations. It's cool. They're getting to, and now a little bit further, you see another sponsored one. So this All-Star Pros did not pay as much as Bruno did to be at the top of the search. It becomes a bidding process, and you keep going higher and higher and higher and higher and higher to get to the top. Bruno knows that the value of paying up here is that he's going to get a different result than being further down here. Somebody has to scroll further and further down. It's going to show me some related searches. It's going to show me another sponsored, which is him again. And then below, we're going to see our lead generation places like Angie's List. We'll see Yelp. We'll see Home Advisor probably pop up in here as well. So all these, we see University of Utah Health. And so we're starting to see some of those mixes between lead generation sites and whatever. But you notice I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. The customer typically doesn't do that. The first thing that happens is if they skip over this sponsored post, then we're going to go down a little bit and we're going to see these map pack space ads. And you can see Utah Radon Services. I can see the number of reviews. I can see a brief description. I can see that it's not actually showing up on this little map that I have here. And then I see the Wasatch Radon, SWAT Radon, and Protect Environmental. The question is, why did it show me, and we're going to skip Bruno here because he paid for that. Why did it show me these three businesses when there are probably dozens of businesses? Why did it show me these three first? And you could say, oh, well, it's because they had 106, reviews or 48 reviews or 92. When you search for Salt Lake City, this is the map that comes up. Well, let's scroll out here. I'm looking at all these. Why are these still the first three? If I come over here and click on more places, again, we got Bruno sitting here at the top. Now it's showing me a lot of different ones, and these three are still 1, 2, and 3. Below that, Advanced Radon has 110 reviews. Why are they not being beat out by SWAT? Utah Radon Defense 55. That was more than that one. Radon Be Gone. Why are they not up there? And so what we do is we come over to the tools that we have over here, and let's go ahead and we'll do. I love the name Radon Be Gone, so I'm going to do Radon Be Gone. So we're going to go into Google. I'm going to type in Radon Be Gone and Clearfield, Utah. Okay. And I'm going to go with radon mitigation near me. Mitigator near me. Okay. And we'll just do radon mitigation as a second one here. We'll run 2 different keywords. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, most of you are absolutely running a big, like you'll do a big area. So Bruno, would you say that this is probably an okay distance? Or are you going further than this?
We do the entire state.
Okay. So you're coming way down, or is there not a ton of business out that way?
No, we do trip jobs, or we'll group them up together and then we'll send somebody down and they stay overnight or even a couple
Gotcha.
of nights and we take care of them.
Gotcha. So just for now, are you going north at all?
Yeah, I mean, all the way up to state line.
Okay. So let's just do a
But I mean,
huge.
Yeah, well, that's still Radon Be Gone. It's not us, but yeah.
No, I get you. And you're going to show up in here too. I'm always interested to see. I mean, most of the businesses that, one of the first things I'm asking somebody when I'm working with them is, okay, where do you want to work? Right. Are you okay driving? Obviously windshield time is in a lot of people for it's lost time, but I mean, even David Smith's company, they do a ton of work 50 miles down the road. Champaign-Urbana, where the University of Illinois is, who I hope you all took in your NCAA brackets. We're trying. It is that it's pretty far down the road, but they've got some builders over there that use them pretty frequently. So again, you'll group those jobs, you'll go over there. But most of the guys I talk to, they're saying, yeah, we wish we could do all of our work, within 15 miles, right? If you could stay busy without driving. But yeah, you get a reputation in the whole state. You're going to work in the whole state. So I'm going to run this as
Actually expand it down to the lake that's on the bottom of it. Just expand it down to the bottom of that lake. Just a little
like
bit.
Provo down here.
Yeah, because that's a big area.
Gotcha. Well, let's do that.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a little bit too big, but yeah. I mean, just the bottom of the lake, but yeah.
Well, and the other thing I can do is I don't usually do this here, but let's just draw. So I can get the actual shape of the state. How's that for
that looks great.
Okay. So this gets us, this gets us a lot of space around here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this real quick, and I got everything in here, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So this is going to give us Radon Be Gone. But the cool thing about this, and so what we do is we have these auto generate for our clients every month. Our clients can go in and see the results. And the cool thing about it is that it can also generate your competitors list. You can go in and see how your competitors are doing each month. And if it's changing, and if we're doing our job and we're increasing your numbers. So I'm going to let this load in. One of the things when I talk to a business owner and they are, I say, hey, listen, I ran a heat map for you and you're not doing great. I wouldn't call you if I didn't think I could help. And they're like, well, every time, we Google ourselves, we come up as number one. And one of the things you guys realize, Google is an algorithm, right? So if I type in the name of my business, or if I'm going to type in, marketing in Bloomington, Illinois, or whatever, website building or whatever, the things that I want to rank for, if I've ever searched for that and I've clicked on it, then Google says, oh, hey, the guy that lives here, this is the result he wants. I get bored with my pizza ordering, and I know every pizza place in my town, but every once in a while I will type in, pizza near me on Google, and because I'm just trying to remember ones that I've forgotten about, and I always end up clicking on the same one. And so that pizza place comes up number one every time because Google is looking at me going, well, this guy wants that. So if what this heat map is, the idea behind it is that every one of these dots is, in essence, a brand new computer searching the term radon mitigator near me for the first time. So right here, where Radon Be Gone is, where their office is located, which is right here, because this is where the dot is, they actually come up as number 6. And so when we say what is number 6, we said that over here. It's 1, 2, don't count the paid one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So they're here on the search. If you were searching from their office, they would be number 6. Now, a little up the road, they're number 1. Somehow here in the water, people who are searching from their boats, they're number 2. Some of these are averages. Now, the other thing is we go into Salt Lake and into the city here, they're coming up as number 15. And if we are, remember the distance on these are 5 miles. So 10 miles down the road, if it's 20 or above, they are not even showing up on this map. There are at least 20 other businesses that they would have to scroll down through to get to before they saw it. So looking at this map, obviously they're probably doing a lot of work up here, and that's what's generating, these green numbers. But some of my clients will say, hey, listen, I really want you to dial it in like this area right here, because this is where all the $1 million homes are. And so we want this is the business we want. This over here doesn't matter, but this does. And so we can dial in where we rank you higher in those areas. Now, the cool thing is I can come down here to averages, and I can say, okay, well, let's see who has the highest average of all of these dots. Number 1 highest average is SWAT Radon. So if I click on SWAT Radon, and this is what these are the results they're getting. I come down here, Utah Radon Services coming in number 2 on the top 100. So here's Utah Radon Services. And then again, some of the ones that we were seeing, the Wasatch coming in number 3 on average. So, you can say, hey, I really want to see how I'm doing really, really well in the Northwest. So Radon Be Gone came in number 1. Let's go Southwest, SWAT, and then, we can pull that up and we can see who's hitting the highest numbers in what area. I would imagine, Bruno, if we expanded this out, we're probably going to see some more green in the areas where you probably have less competition. And so let's, because we did run the other search. So let's come up with, I'm still running, let's see, reset here. I was looking at some, yeah.
If you wouldn't mind, I mean, let's just do a generic. How about just radon mitigation Utah? And the reason why I put Utah last is so it wouldn't be Utah radon mitigation, because that's too close to my name. But
yeah,
so what if somebody were to do just a Utah search instead of Salt Lake City search?
yeah. So what's more likely and I can do that. But keep in mind, my search was not the word that I typed in was radon mitigation near me. In the same way that if I go to Google right now and I just start typing plumber,
Yeah.
then see what it auto fills for me.
Yeah.
It says plumber blooming to normal, plumber, and a lot of times, down here near me, if I just type in plumber, it's going to give me my area, right? So I didn't have to type in, and now I can type in plumber Bloomington, and those are terms we absolutely do. So if I did radon mitigation, let's just do it two different ways. Let's do Salt Lake City, and then let's do radon mitigation Utah, and we'll do Utah radon services.
Of course, I'm pissed to see SWAT beating me.
Yeah, as is everyone. Let's see. So what I'm going to do is, just for giggles here, I'm going to go with the state of Utah, and I realize I have to redraw this because I wasn't zoomed out enough. But this will give me a good start. I can scan this down. Oh, come on, man. Is this helpful? Do you guys like seeing this stuff, or? I hope so. Some of you guys like to geek out on this stuff, and really about half of my clients are like, I don't care, just deliver me leads. And so I like to have this so that people can see, what we're able to do. And then we're gonna run. Oh, I bet I have to do this again. Okay, cool. I don't think it'll give me, yeah, so I'm big enough, that's just what it's going to give me. So let's run both of these. This will take a second. In the meantime, actually that's going to load pretty quick. I'm going to pull up my we didn't do the radon mitigation. We can come back to that here in a second. So this is, if somebody's going to type in radon mitigation Salt Lake City, here, here's the results. Now, you're not typing in radon mitigation Salt Lake City down here, but Google is clearly doing the math on that and can figure out, that what you're searching for. But yeah, and at your office, man, you're hitting number 4, which is really surprising to me. Typically, I'm not seeing that. I'm almost always seeing it someone's actual office.
Wait, actually, whose office?
Is that not yours right there?
No, that's kind of the middle of Nowhereville.
Why didn't it pull you up? You're Utah Radon Services, right?
Yeah, but that's that office.
That might just be the middle of my
to the
search.
south of us.
I gotcha. I'm sorry. So normally it shows me, maybe because I redrew it, it gave me a different, probably a center point. When I where are you at?
We're towards the bottom.
You're down. That's defense. Oh, I see it. So you're right there. Okay. Got it. So let's see how you're looking right in your actual. There's Provo. Now again, when I do this, when I would run a really tight one, you're gonna have like 50 different results in here. So we're looking at actual neighborhoods at that point rather than just running one this general and this huge. But it does give us some. So Wasatch Radon has the most. Wow. Radon mitigation, Salt Lake City. So they are hitting, and I'm always interested, this number one here, that's to see who's getting that spot. So they're number one. SWAT is running, and this is an average of all of them. So there's SWAT in number two, Utah Radon, you're number three. And again, there we have some actual data on if you rank in the top three, you know, if you, because that's what we see on this, you know, when we're here, we only see the top three, right? So a lot of people are making their decision based on that. Protect Environmental coming in here at number 4. So yeah, it's just going to keep going down, I think. But really, I want to look at the other one when we just typed in Utah. It looks like it's still in progress. Let's see if that guy's getting close to being done. There we go. So now this is you for the search on Utah, which obviously complete, you know, different results. So that's great. And then we'll look at averages here, hit average, big jump between you and Radon Defense. But they're probably going to see a lot of the twos there. And then they're losing some of their status up north, Advanced Radon Solutions. So in this scenario, you know, SWAT's number 5. They're seeing a much different result on that term. So that's one of the first things we're doing is we're going to go in and figure out search search volume per keywords. So when we're looking at, you know, the search volume, we want to see if I don't see anyone searching for radon mitigation Utah, well then obviously it's going to be not worth the time to put in there. But for kind of the general just search terms, we did have that other one. We did radon mitigator near me. So let's look really fast here at radon mitigation, just see how that turns out. Again, we're looking at radon be gone, really strong in the north, but not so much in the south. And then we'll see averages here real quick. Advanced radon coming in number, whoop, I went the wrong way. They're the worst. SWAT coming in. So like to me, these numbers for the number one business being all over the map tells me that I can break through on this, that I can knock these out, because it's not like anybody has a stronghold on any particular area. These random, like there's a business there that's knocking everybody out on that one. So you know so I'm going to come into a company like Advanced Radon Solutions and be like, hey, you know, wherever you're located, you're showing up. Usually what I see when I'm looking at this is a good example. I don't know where Advanced Radon Solutions is, but if I had to make a guess, it would probably be somewhere in here. It's possible that they're not.
No, they're right next to us.
They're right next to us. So what's happening is that they're getting some work down here, and some of their reviews are being generated from here. Some of their it's just, and this may be a much easier place to rank as well. So like I said, there's science, and then there's art. Some of this is science and some of it is art, and some of it's getting just really creative and getting these numbers, you know, bounced up. And I tell people this is like doing a weight loss program. We got to work really, really, really hard at first to push these numbers so that, and again, it just directly turns into more calls. If you can be number 1, 2, or 3 on here, you're just going to see more calls, more organic calls from people that are seeking out that term. There's a trust factor when you can get there and you're not sponsoring and paying for it. But in the weight loss analogy, we're doing like the crash crazy 90-day crazy thing to get it up. And then it's once you've got it, then it's just consistent work. Like you don't get to stop going to the gym. You've got to do this every single, week for the rest of time in order to stay up there, especially if someone else hires another company like me that comes in and tries to knock you off of your pedestal. Then it gets competitive. So and when I see numbers in some of these, in some of these different these terms, like just straight radon mitigation. And when I see stuff like this, it tells me some of these guys are actually putting in some of the work. Obviously, SWAT has, this is not based on how many reviews, because if this were reviews, then Bruno would be number one. He would take all these guys combined don't have as many reviews as Bruno does. So it is not necessarily reviews that put you, on the map here. It's important and it's part of our strategy. But it's, just looking at this right here, if I'm scrolling in, it's, you're getting really high in, because your office is down here in the first part of the green, right? You're right in that area.
Right.
So that's why it's starting to turn green there, right? Because this is your area, but this is all up for grabs. And reviews are great, but Google knows that people can pay for reviews and that they're not all genuine, and they're not, so it's, reviews are super, super, super important. But
So again, these
and again,
numbers are based on where you show up on Google Maps searches, not on
correct.
SEO.
Correct. Yep. So
Okay.
this conversation is specifically about this Google Maps. And then we're going to go into, our SEO tracking software, and then we're tracking all of the different, where you're showing up on here. So even on but again, this is not a great example because I'm not searching from, it's showing me results from Salt Lake City. But I do have software that changes where I am on where it thinks I am, at least. And so, but right now it looks like, this is up for the grabs anyway. If you're not beating out, the Department of Environmental Quality, SWAT's number one. All of these on here, they are, it's possible. But
From what we see though, just out of curiosity,
yeah,
we're not seeing people doing searches for their city.
yeah,
So if you were to do like radon mitigation in Utah, maybe something,
yeah,
not
yeah.
Salt
Let's
Lake
do
City,
radon.
mitigation Utah.
Okay. So also I've got some plugin stuff here. It's showing me what some people are searching for. Cost of radon mitigation system, cost, cost of a radon mitigation system. A lot of people are wondering how much it costs. And we'll talk about that as we use that as a strategy for how to rank you higher. So I'm seeing right here, number one. I'm seeing number two. It's almost like Bruno has talked about some of these things that we're talking about. And so you're seeing this down here in the map pack when I did radon mitigation Utah, 1, 2, 3. And coming down here, Utah Radon Services, number one.
Finally,
Now,
there I am naturally.
but I just clicked on you. I just typed it in, right? So what I'm gonna need to do is I'm gonna need to go into my SEO software and get a clean search.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I still think you're doing great, right? So it's still up here. We're still getting we're still getting great sub level stuff coming in through there, which is fantastic. You're up here, and we're seeing I'm seeing traffic to your website, and I'm seeing it is looking it is looking good. But it may be that I just clicked on that. And then, obviously next thing, right? I'm on the website and we want to look at, how this looks, not only how it looks on, desktop, which I'm sitting on, but how it's going to look on the, on mobile, and the volume of search there. Am I able to figure this out really fast? And get, yeah, I can get a bid. Fantastic. I'm filling out a contact form and I'm on it. Um, and again, we're having that conversation with our clients going, hey, is this are you seeing more calls come in? Are you seeing more people fill out the form? Right. And so, I mean, Bruno, you're obviously, you're doing a great job. And you have a lot of the tools in place that are going to get you, the business that the size of what you're doing. Right. So, it's great. So it really does come back to, if this bumped up, is that gonna see an increase for most businesses? The answer is yes. You already have that trust factor when I'm looking at it and I'm seeing, these incredible amount of, I'll get my mouse off of there because I can hear your heart thumping through the Zoom. But yeah, when I see a 4.9, out of 929, dude, you're gonna hit 1,000 probably. What are you averaging? 20, 30 a week?
Actually, no,
More?
we don't solicit reviews, and I
Wow.
mean, we do over 30 homes a day, remember? So,
Yeah.
we're actually only getting a few reviews a week because we're not soliciting. Um,
Yeah.
so,
Y-
um, yeah,
I'll tell you this. I wouldn't change anything about what you're doing. I wouldn't solicit a single review because I would almost be concerned if I looked at this as a business, as a homeowner, and if I saw 9,000 reviews, I would think you were faking it. I mean, and you're doing that many, right? Like you're doing that many, but I would keep this, whatever, because it's doing something from, McDonald's, or doing something from, Ruth Chris Steakhouse, right? Um, Even though you are providing literally 5-star service out of, 5 out of 5 times, uh it's my red flags go up, right? So yeah, I wouldn't change a thing about what you're doing. I am the person that's going to come in here and click on a business, and I'm going to look and see, what are the reviews, right? I'm going to make a decision on this prior to calling the business. And so I'm looking at, what are the things that they're doing? What is, what does their work look like? What are people saying about them?
actually,
And
yeah,
so
and I mean, the internet's so fascinating because it can make anybody look big. If you go back to Precision or whatever,
yeah,
um, I mean, that's a brand new company, chuck in a truck, probably just one
yep,
employee. If you actually look, I saw you did one of the photos. I mean, that's not even a system that would pass the standards. Um,
yeah,
Not that one, but there's one. Yeah, that one. Look, it's not
yeah,
at least 20 feet high. He didn't go up to the eave and stuff like that.
yeah.
So anyway, it's
But
just
the
kind of interesting.
consumer has
But
no idea,
yeah, the
right?
point I'm making though is it's
Yeah.
the great equalizer. They don't know
Yep.
that I have 60 employees, and they don't know that this is a single person.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I give them kudos that they're doing half decent. The fact that they even have photos um, on their Google Maps thing
Yep.
is crucial. And a
Yep.
lot of the mitigators aren't putting photos on like they should.
Yep. Yep. And the fact is that there, you know, David was talking about whether you're, you know, working on your business or working in your business. And most of the people that are in this, you know, in this industry with us are, you know, these are guys that are used to working with their hands. And I was over at David's office today, and you know, and I'm looking at his keyboard, and it is just, you know, covered in pieces of plastic and things and stuff like that, where they're cutting out sump lids and these, you know, and so David is a work with his hands kind of guy. And you know, he was, you know, helping frame up a basement and whatever. He doesn't want to get on and put on, you know, photos on his, you know, his Google business page.
Nor should he, because
And
every service company should have a Ben Miller. I mean,
yeah,
you should be outsourcing this. You should not be
yeah.
doing this yourself.
It's the same way, you know, if you put the graphics on the side of your truck, right? So you know, you didn't do this, right? You hired someone to do that.
Well,
And
this one, it
and
looks like he did it.
yeah, maybe this one he did. Actually, this one looks photoshopped. This doesn't exist. Um, but yeah, maybe he hired someone to Photoshop it for him. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it is one of those things where, you know, the only thing that we can sell to anybody is time. I'm a firm believer of that. I believe that anybody can figure out how to mitigate radon in their own house, right? What they can do is they can spend 100 hours watching YouTube videos, and you know, they can go into the different groups. We have people trying to join our Facebook group all the time, and I'm not allowing them in, because these are like homeowners, or they're people that have decided they're going to do it themselves. And so they, in Illinois, as you can go to, you know, to Home Depot or Menards, and you can buy a radon fan, and you can put it in your own house, and you can do it in your own place. And it's legal to do that. You may or may not lower the radon. You may make it worse. But we offer in our, you know, industry, the ability to come in and do that job in, you know, in a no-brainer house. You know, I've seen them do it in 90 minutes, but you know, 4 or 6 hours, you can do a crawl space and everything else. And you know, in the same way that I can learn how to, you know, I need to replace my electrical panel. I'm all out of spots. I'm tired of doubling up breakers. I can do it. It's legal for me to do it. I can go out and buy the supplies for it, but I am deciding that my time with my family is more important than trying to learn that and do it myself to save a buck. And that is the, you know, that's obviously the service that I provide. That no one's going to make an argument today that, oh, I don't need a website, right? Yeah, websites aren't important for business, right? No one is making that argument. But what we do see is we see people trying to go onto GoDaddy or on Wix and build their own website, instead of, you know, to save money, instead of paying me to do it, right? Or somebody's going on and trying to set up their Facebook page instead of having me do it, or the LinkedIn page, or their Google business page. And they're like, oh, I'm saving so much money, but you're stealing your own time for that. And if you can pay me $1,500 or $2,000 a month, and I'm going to take care of this for you, and I'm going to generate, you know, $10,000 a month in new revenue because of my efforts, that is like going into, you know, Vegas and putting $2 in a machine, and it spits out $10 all day long. How long would you do that? You wouldn't sleep. You wouldn't eat. You wouldn't go back to your room. You would just keep putting $2 in and having it spit back $10 all day long. And so it goes back to the beginning of our call today, when we're saying, you know, at what point in time do I do that thing, right? What point in time do I get the next, you know, crew? What time do I hire, you know, somebody full time in the office? When do I hire a guy like me? And in this business, and you see it, and everybody sees it, a lot of people, the cost of entry is relatively low, right? It's not like, it's not like I have to, I don't have to buy a bucket truck, or I don't have to buy $100,000 worth of, hydrojet, drain cleaning gear, right, in order to do what I do. It's relatively low to get started in this. And we see guys that, they can't afford to buy 5 fans at once because they haven't, they don't have the money for it. So the people that are really in this, the people that are really, ready to build and to grow and to make money, it's, you wouldn't not have a website. You would not have it. I see guys go out and they'll buy a $90,000 truck because they think it makes their job better. And I'm like, but you're not going to spend $1,500 a month on marketing, $18,000 a year. It's going to take you 5 years of paying me to pay for that same truck. And what's that truck worth? And I like working for the guys that are driving the beat up truck so that they can afford me, and then they get the nice truck because I brought them a ton of work. And so it's just priorities and order. And we don't have a ton of people still in this chat, but if you're watching this later, this is what this is for. This is the coaching, and this is the thing that's supposed to get you guys motivated, and watching the Brunos and the Davids and the people that have built huge businesses by following a clear path to success. The money's out there. You just, if you have a mentality that you're not going to be outworked, then it's out there. So that's it. That's where we're at. So I'm going to stop the share. I'm just looking at this here. So, yeah, I think we're almost 2 hours in. I think we can probably wrap up today. So, but yeah, Bruno, thanks for letting me run that. You can tell I get I get fired up on this marketing stuff, and it's just I'm big into sports. I'm big into competition, and personally, to me, it is a competition when somebody hires me and puts, and I'm now on their team, and I'm going to leave nothing but destruction in my wake of ranking people and getting that business, because I want to work for people who are really committed to just out of control success. And so yeah, I always start my calls with people saying, can you double your business, right? Is if we create a strategy to double it. Now, Bruno, that'd be a tough one for you to go from 30 to 60 in a day. We're
gonna do
it. Yeah, I mean,
we can do it.
there's guys that aren't doing 60 in a month. And so yeah, it's but yeah, it is. But obviously there's only so much I can do. You got to run those ads. You got to get in front of people. We talk about day trading attention. If the attention moves to something other than Google, we've got to move there. If it goes to Facebook, or it goes to Twitter, or if it goes to TikTok, or if it goes to LinkedIn, or it goes to Alignable, or it goes to somewhere, like we've got to move the attention. So to me, I'm just playing the odds on what's the highest place where people are searching and watching and looking, and how do we get in front of those people, get those eyeballs, get the reputation up there so that people trust you and want to do the work. So, guys, I gotta get my brain back under control, because my kids have a trivia night here in a few hours, and I've got to answer questions about stupid stuff that I probably know about and I shouldn't. So it's been great. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will see you next week. And Ron, you popped in. Did you have a question?
Oh, I've been sitting here listening. I just had
Good.
some pressing business, so I'm just listening to your
Perfect.
stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, just wanted to say thank you. It's always great to get more information.
Sounds good. Hey, I saw your comment, man. I will I'll send you a message.
Okay, and then I also send a request to join the Facebook group.
Oh, fantastic. I'll let you in there. I don't know. We'll vet you. We'll make sure you're up to snuff.
Yeah. You gotta weed out nefarious individuals like myself that are faking it.
We have a new rule that you have to send one salmon to everybody in the group. So we're up to like 79, 80 people there. You'll be number 80. So that's easy. You just reach in and pull those out. So you're good. All right, man. Hey guys, have
Thanks.
a great weekend. Go make some money, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Ben. Talk
Thanks.
to you soon.
Yep.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Ben.
Bye.